Have you ever felt like somebody owes you something? We've all felt that way, right? Like we did them a favor or we did something that when they were in a pinch, they really needed it, and now they owe us something. Well, recently I came up against this with a client of mine, and she's so lovely. I love her so much. And she is struggling in her relationship with her daughter right now. And her daughter's in her mid 40s. So this has been going on for a while, and we're working together trying to clear some of the energy, the blocks, the emotion around honestly the anger that she feels towards her daughter. And so in our session, she was talking to me about their relationship and everything that's going on. And she started off by saying, I didn't even know if I wanted to have her. It took me I didn't know if I wanted to have kids, and I really thought about it for like 9 years. And then by the time I had her, it was really late. And in my pregnancy, I got really sick. I almost died. I had to be in bed. My pregnancy was really difficult, and I've done all these things for her, all these sacrifices that I've made. And, she doesn't do this for me. She doesn't even answer my texts. She I never really feel that much love coming from her, and all of these things. And I'm not trying to make her sound bad. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but one of the things that helps when working with a practitioner is that we can be the observer. We can look at a situation without having any prejudices around it, without having any history around it. And I will take notes sometimes when I'm having a session with a client before we get started on doing the clearing. And I wrote down, "She owes you." And that was really what I was getting from her, is that she feels like her daughter owes her something because of, even when she started talking about their relationship, she went all the way back, 40 some years ago, to how difficult my pregnancy was, all the sacrifices I've made for her, all the ways I've helped with the grandkids, all of these things. And I very gently said, I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing and what I'm observing, and I want you to just be open to it and consider that this might be how your daughter's feeling. And I said, what it sounds to me is that you feel like she owes you. Well, yes, she owes me. Of course she owes me. And I said, okay, well, what if the truth is nobody owes anybody anything, no matter what they've done for them? That nobody owes anybody anything. And she was like, what do you mean nobody owes anybody anything? So this is another thing, is that sometimes when we're so close to an issue, it's really hard for us to understand it when somebody explains it to us. And I said, well, think about it this way, right? That have you ever owed anybody money? Well, or has anybody ever owed you money? And when they give you that money back, you're not like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is amazing. Thank you. I'm so appreciate this. I'm receiving. No, we don't do that because we're owed that. They owe us that. And so we don't have this response of being so grateful and just accepting and getting something that is unexpected. It's expected, it's owed, there's a deficit. And this is sort of the relationship that she set up with her daughter, is that her daughter, every effort that her daughter makes to pay in to the relationship, with reciprocation, with kindness, with gestures, with affection, it never feels like she's gaining, ever, because it feels owed. You owe me that. So think how differently it is if somebody comes up to you out of the blue and says, hey, I just want to give you this $100. You're like, oh my, thank you so much. What? You're giving me this $100? This is amazing. I can't believe how blessed I am to just be receiving this out of the blue for no reason. And so when we feel like people owe us something, we make a relationship transactional. Like, you owe me. I did these things for you. I gave birth to you. I spent 22 hours in labor so that you could have life. You owe me. You owe me love. You owe me affection. You owe me responses to my texts. And all of a sudden, that person, think about it. When you have to do, you feel obligated to give, you don't really want to give, do you? But when you give genuinely from your heart, something that is really meaningful and is an expression of love, and it's received that way, everybody feels good. Everybody feels wonderful. When you make a relationship transactional because somebody owes you that, all of a sudden the joy is zapped from it, not only for you, but for them too. They don't get the joy of giving in that situation, and you don't get any joy in receiving. But if you can let go of that idea of somebody owing you something because of some way that you've paid into the relationship with energy, life force, emotion, vulnerability, trust even. And I know that this is difficult and it's hard, but if you constantly feel like somebody owes you something, it's a well they can't fill up. They can't fill that up and they'll just stop trying. So we talked about this for a while, and she kind of came around to feeling like, yes, it would feel so much better if whatever gesture my daughter offered to me, I received as if it were a gift, rather than as if she was paying off a debt. And by the end of our session, she said she felt lighter already. She felt like, this is going to be good. And I said, okay, but it's probably going to be hard because we have, 4 decades of a habit that we're trying to overcome here of feeling like you're owed something. But every time, just try and let go. If you send a text, do it from a place of not needing or wanting to have a response back, but because you genuinely want to reach out and say, hey, I hope you had a great day today. Hey, I was just thinking about you. I was watching this show and it made me think of you. Thought I would say hi. But when we do something because we want to get a response, we've made that interaction transactional. So free yourself from this idea of anybody owing you anything, and see how they change in their response to you and how much more they want to give because of the way that you receive it with gratitude and see it as a blessing rather than them paying off a debt. So maybe you can take a really honest look at your life and your relationships and see, where are you being transactional in your relationships? Where do you feel like people owe you something? And where do you feel like maybe there are other people in your life who feel like you owe them? And how can you change that dynamic simply by letting go of this attachment to anybody owing anybody anything? Because honestly, nobody owes anybody anything. So give it a try, and maybe give me a comment down below. Maybe just say, I felt this way before, or I gave this a shot. It actually really worked. I will tell you that for my client, she wrote me the very next day saying that she was already feeling better, even though by the morning she hadn't had any interaction with her daughter, but she had gotten an invitation to a very important dinner coming up at her daughter's home, and she felt good about it. She was excited. She wanted to go. So even just having this idea in her head and starting to put it into practice had started changing the vibrational dynamic between she and her daughter, and things are already looking up. So you can do it too.